that there is a increased lack of trust in institutions in this country.
Yes.
Be it the media, guys like me, police, and I think for some people in this community, Unit 5. I think there has been a change in the trust level between some people and their school district. How would you, as a school board member, work to rebuild that if you're elected?
So that's a great question. It's actually something I was thinking about last night as I was speaking with Kathleen Lorenz. And I said to Kathleen, who's running for Normal Town Council, and who I support, even though I live in Bloomington, I said to her that, I'm fully convinced what I'm going to be doing, if I'm on the school board, if I'm any kind of elected official, I'm pretty much going to dedicate, a 3 to 4 p.m. time slot on Sundays to be at the coffee house where I am basically there to listen to people and talk with people in our community. So making sure that I'm always available. I also believe it means giving out my phone number. When I'm canvassing, I'm proudly giving out my phone number for people to ask follow-up questions. As someone who has studied at ISU, I've studied 20th century American history. I am fascinated with mostly the 1930s to today. And one of the things I was very much invested in is learning how, since really the Watergate scandal with Nixon, how that trust in institutions has continued to dwindle. And where we are today, I would definitely argue as a former history student that was really the turning point in American history. And you had Vietnam, you had Iraq, which was full of lies. You have a lot of politicians who ran off misinformation and misled the public. And quite honestly, it's the lack of transparency and lack of democracy and democratic decision making on a high level, why I would argue is where we are today. How does someone small like me address that? I think it means always being available by phone. One of my main goals, if I do get in the school board, is to know very clearly what boundaries are and what I can share with the public and what is confidential, because everything that is not confidential, I will be very bold. I will tell the community, look, this is something I'm allowed to tell you because it's not behind closed doors. I'm going to tell you. And whether or not you listen to me, it comes down to whether or not you have any trust. And I know there's a lot of mistrust, but keep in mind that it's the voices of our community that want what's best for our students and community and for our families and for our kids to be successful. Those are the voices we need to listen to. Part of this mistrust comes from the fact that we have isolated ourselves into our little social media niches and our corporate media niches, and we only want to listen to what we know. And there's lots of studies to support that. And I just have to encourage people to stay active and to keep the connections with people who may not be in your camp. A great example of how I felt like I was living that example was I attended the McLean County Republicans Forum last week, knowing that there were several people there who voted no for the referendum and probably will not vote for me. But I know that there were a lot of people who I met there at that forum who said they would vote for me, and they would vote for the referendum. So it was proof to me that even though we continue to get more divided, we still have to sit there and be uncomfortable and listen to other people, because yes, there were a lot of upset McLean County Republican voters who I sympathize with because they're upset. They don't feel like their voices are being heard. But also, I really want us to, as a community, come together and realize that if this referendum doesn't pass, we have to make those cuts, because as a community, we've decided that there's a price tag on our kids' education and we can't pay this. And it's really dismaying. But I do believe I am, the more active I've become politically and the more invested I've become in this campaign, the less cynical I've become. Because I've seen a lot of positive voices. I've met families who aren't very political, but they just want their kids to look forward to 7th grade band and 7th grade sports because it's all that they care about and it's what gets them through school. So as someone who genuinely cares about the next generation and my future kids. I just want us to have a really strong, vibrant community, and the school district is very much the heart of that.